Good evening and welcome to the Paramount City Council Chambers. This is a special notice that public participation, accessibility for the City Council and successor agency for the Paramount Redevelopment Agency meetings that are scheduled for March 2nd, 2021 are pursuant to Executive Order N-2920. This was executed by the Governor of California on March 17th, 2020, and as a response to mitigating the spread of coronavirus known as COVID-19. The meeting of the City Council scheduled for today, Tuesday, March 2nd, 2021 at 6 p.m. will allow members of the public to participate and to address the City Council during the open session of the meeting via live stream and or teleconference only. And with that, I will turn it over to Mayor Peggy Lemons to open the meeting. Mayor Lemons?
Thank you, Mr. Moreno. I call to order the March 2nd, 2021 meeting of the Paramount City Council. May I have a roll call?
Councilmember Aguayo.
Here.
Councilmember Guillen.
Here.
Councilmember Quer-Stallings.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Olmos.
Here.
Mayor Lemons.
Here. Next, we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilmember Isabel Aguayo, and that is going to be followed by the invocation by Pastor Brian Worth of Chapel of Change. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lord God, we come together tonight and we want to pray for the City Council, that you give them wisdom and strength to make the right decisions tonight. And we pray for the City of Paramount, Lord. We pray for the people that are hurting, that you comfort them and help them. We pray for those that are sick. We pray for healing. We pray for the businesses, Lord God. We pray for a wave of prosperity, Lord God. And we ask that your hand just be upon this meeting tonight. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor.
You're welcome.
I just heard the invocation.
She went out of order.
Hey, good evening, everyone. We have some presentations that we're going to make tonight. The first one we're going to do is for the Women's History Month. As we do each year, the city celebrates March as National Women's History Month. This recognizes women of every race, class, and ethnic background who have made major contributions to the economic, cultural, and social life of our country. Locally, we have this opportunity to recognize the Paramount Women's Club, which has been making our community stronger since 1926. Club members volunteer at the library. They help families and children during the holidays. They offer scholarships to local students, among other important efforts. This year, we also acknowledge the ratification of the 19th Amendment to the United States Constitution that occurred on August 18, 1920. This provided all women of our nation with the right to vote. And 100 years later, Paramount elected an all-female city council. Only the fourth time that this has happened in the history of California. Incidentally, the first woman elected to the city council was Gladys Iliff in 1957, the year the city incorporated. She was Paramount's first vice mayor and later became the city's first female mayor. In honor of Women's History Month, we will send a proclamation to the Paramount Women's Club. And I think they're shown on the screen. Perfect. Next, March is also American Red Cross Awareness Month, something else we recognize each year. We have a strong relationship with the Greater Long Beach Rio Hondo South Bay chapter of the Red Cross. They do so many things in our community, such as installing free smoke alarms, holding blood drives, and helping to prepare for natural disasters. We urge everyone in town to support the local chapter however you can. Joining us on Zoom is the chapter's CEO, Veronica Garcia. Hello, Veronica.
Hi, thank you, Mayor, esteemed council members, city staff, and guests. Again, my name is Veronica Garcia Davalos. I'm the executive director for the chapter that serves the city of Paramount, the American Red Cross chapter. Since 1943, when President Franklin Roosevelt declared March as Red Cross Month, our nation has celebrated this month across the country. And every year since then, every president of the United States has proclaimed March as Red Cross Month. I just want to share a little bit about the Red Cross, just to give you a sense of the magnitude of our work. Every year, we respond to more than 60,000 disasters across the country, the largest being home fires. So that's why the smoke alarms are very, very important, that we get those out to everybody in the community. We also train more than 4.8 million people in first aid, water safety, and other life-saving skills. We collect more than 4.6 million blood products. We provide about 40% of all blood products across the U.S., and that comes from more than 2.6 million volunteers. And then we provide about 500,000 members of our military and veterans and their families with services throughout the year. And then we help people outside of the U.S., so we do a lot of international work. But as the executive director of the chapter, I've had the great pleasure of working with your staff, with Adriana Lopez, that's also on your staff, who serves on our board, to train and prepare residents and small businesses for disasters, large and small. We really want people to be ready when the time comes. In fact, this past weekend, we partnered with the city and we ran an emergency drill. We had over 65 people participate in that. And now we are even better prepared to respond should there be a disaster. But during this month of March, we'll be hosting weekly blood drives throughout LA County. We'll be lighting iconic buildings and structures like the Ferris wheel in Santa Monica and downtown LA. We're going to light them up red. We will also be posting social media messages throughout the month. But we're asking our partners like you to be all in with us. And so just if you can, promoting the Red Cross mission, we're asking everybody to either donate blood, help us financially, or share the message, post it on social media, and then consider becoming a volunteer, because we really need you. 90% of all the work that we do is done by volunteers. But on behalf of the American Red Cross chapter and our board, I want to thank you for declaring March as Red Cross Month in the city of Paramount. We really appreciate it. You will help us raise awareness and save lives. But if you'd like to learn a little bit more about what we're doing, you can also visit us at redcross.org/LA. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Veronica. I know on behalf of the City Council and my colleagues, we certainly appreciate all of the services that the Red Cross provides the Paramount community, and they are plentiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
For this next presentation, we want to salute the Nutrition Services Department of Paramount Unified. You know, not all superheroes wear capes. Some of them wear aprons. While district campuses have been closed due to the pandemic, employees in the Nutrition Services Department have been essential workers, making sure that our children have access to nutritious foods. Since March 2020, they have prepared an amazing 1.2 million meals for pickup or delivery. They have also given out free packages of pantry items. The city thanks those frontline heroes for feeding our children on a weekly basis. We will be sending gift baskets, like this one that weighs about 40 pounds, I think. We will be sending gift baskets along with certificates to each PUSD nutrition site. When we return in person for presentations, we will invite all of the site managers to be recognized. That's all of our presentations for tonight. We thank everyone for helping to make Paramount a great community. Okay, next up we have City Council public comment updates.
Yes, Madam Mayor, we do have one public comment update from the February 16th City Council meeting, and that was from Mr. Gerald Serta, and Mr. Serta requested assistance from the City Council to help contest a parking citation. This is just the comment and the action of the follow-up. Our Public Safety Director, Ms. Adriana Lopez, spoke with Mr. Serta back in December of 2020 about an outstanding parking citation he received in 2019, which he later went through the first level of appeal. Then in January 2020, a first level reviewer upheld the parking citation. Mr. Serta then missed subsequent deadlines to further the appeal of the citation back in 2020. Ms. Lopez explained to Mr. Serta the administrative appeal process and that the code for parking tickets does not allow her or anyone else to file a second appeal past the deadlines. Mr. Serta does have the right to file court action at Compton Superior Court. And Ms. Lopez spoke with Mr. Serta again after the council meeting and referred him to the Compton Court, and also followed up in a letter to explain the city's municipal code, and the letter was per his request. And that's it for City Council public comment updates, Madam Mayor. And before we get into public comments, I just wanted to follow up on something that did come up today that I wanted to address, and that was in social media. There was a lot of attention that was given to a situation that we all know very, very well, and that's with air quality. And that was in regards to AQMD taking down the monitors in Paramount. Yes, we were aware of this. This did occur back in December, and it was according to AQMD due to the pandemic. We did post this on the environmental website back in January. The monitors are currently in storage at AQMD. There is, however, one monitor that's still operating in town, and it's what AQMD calls a multi-metals type of monitor, and that's located behind Kindred Hospital. They tell me that it's been in operation continuously and takes hourly readings of many different metals. AQMD also told us that their staff looks at this data regularly, and they're working on updating their website to summarize the sampling information from that one monitor. AQMD also told us that levels of hexchrome have been what they called, quote, unremarkable, and have been consistent with average levels observed in 2019 and 2020. The social media posts referred to the city of Irvine having air monitors, so we inquired about that as well. AQMD tells us that the type of monitoring being done in Irvine is very, very different than the filter-based monitoring for hexavalent chromium in Paramount. In Irvine, AQMD is testing for what they call volatile organics. Monitors for this type of pollution do not involve much human contact. On the flip side, the hexchrome monitors in Paramount, according to AQMD, require more human interaction, which they're trying to minimize among their employees during COVID. They do not have a timeline yet for bringing the monitors back to Paramount, and they said that they're hoping to get their employees vaccinated very soon. AQMD realizes also that during the pandemic, the metal companies here in Paramount have not been as active from a production standpoint. Another difference that I wanted to share with you that we learned today with the Irvine situation, again, that was mentioned in the social media post, is that the city of Irvine recently allowed homes to be built in close proximity to the All-American Asphalt plant in Irvine. They said that these new homes were located downwind from the plant, and as a result, residents started to smell the odors from the plant, and that's how this all started. Accordingly, we're told that the All-American Asphalt plant has been located at that current site in Irvine for a number of years. According to the City of Irvine's website in October 2020, the City of Irvine notified its residents that a manufacturing company in their city may be possibly emitting hazardous odors. The social media post that I've been talking about that's been circulated today and yesterday was included an excerpt from that notification that I just mentioned, explaining that the Irvine City Council directed their police chief to explore revoking the company's business license. Since that post back in October, There have been 10 updates from the city of Irvine. There's been no indication from those updates whether or not the city of Irvine was able to revoke the business license from All American Asphalt. The latest update that we saw from February 2021, which explains that the city of Irvine is now working collaboratively with AQMD to monitor the situation and provide community information meetings, much like the efforts that we took in Paramount back in 2016. And with that, that's the update that I wanted to give on that particular topic.
If I could just ask for one point of clarification, John, I
Sure.
think you said that the monitors were pulled in December. I kind of vaguely remember a report on that.
Yes.
And it had to do with the fact that in order to read ours, they have to come out and physically get them
Correct.
and take them to a lab.
Right.
And that they didn't want that interaction with all of those different entities because of the pandemic.
Correct.
So now they're indicating that once their employees are vaccinated, we may return back to normal monitoring.
That's one of the things they want to make sure is that their employees are vaccinated before they have that human contact.
Okay, and they haven't at this point in time given us a time frame?
That is correct.
Well, we have the national time frame of June or July, so yeah,
We're
maybe
hoping
by
it'll
summer.
be sooner.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. We have public comments.
We do, Madam Mayor. We have 9 oral public comments and 1 emailed public comment. So we'll start off with the oral public comments, and Andrew Villalpando will handle this. Andrew?
Yes. Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Madam Mayor, and members of the City Council. The first public comment will be from resident Gerald Serta. One moment while I get him on the line.
Hello?
Good evening. This is the City of Paramount calling for Gerald Serta.
Yes, this is Gerald Serta.
Hi, Mr. Serta. We're calling regarding your request for public comment at the City Council meeting this evening. You're being broadcast live to the City Council, and you'll be given 3 minutes, which start.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, council members, fellow stakeholders. I would like to start by thanking Deputy Thomas Albanese from Los Angeles County Sheriff Department. As you know, last Thursday on the 25th around 9 o'clock, Deputy Thomas passed away. He was in some type of collision near the city of Paramount. But I did have some interactions with him, and he was a good person. So I just wanted to take time to mention his name and thank him for the services that he did with the military and also with the sheriff department. As you know, he left his wife and 2 boys. But I want to thank the sheriff department for bringing themselves out there for us by patrolling and keeping us safe. So I wanted to thank the sheriff department and Deputy Thomas Albanese. But I would like to also address the information that was passed by the mayor regarding the citation that I brought up on the last council meeting. I did ask, as you know, for instruction on how to appeal the citation through the court, the Compton Superior Courthouse. I understand that the appeal process came and left. I did initiate it, and as I informed you, I was constantly ill, going in and out of the hospital. I'm not making excuses, but I did want to challenge. I did start, like Mr. Moreno mentioned, the appeal process. It was upheld by the city, even though they have the discretion to uphold it or dismiss it. And I did mention that the information on the citation was incorrect, and it was to an address that doesn't exist on private property. That's not being addressed or mentioned. It's only being mentioned to the city council that they've contacted me numerous times and explained to me numerous times the appeal process. I'm not asking for that. I can get that off the internet. What I wanted was what the supervisors at the Compton Court Traffic Division mentioned, and that's for the city to go back to the city and ask for instructions on how to take it to the next step, which is the legal step on challenging the citation. The city is not the overall legal process for appealing a citation. There are other legal steps, and that's what I was asking for. The city mayor, I asked for the city mayor, I asked for the city manager or the city attorney to give input with the director from public safety, but I was told that she's the specialist in this department and that she handles that. But I did request the city attorney or the mayor
Mr.
or
Serta,
even
you
the
have
city
20 seconds
council
left.
to step in and look at this since they do have the discretion before legal action is taken at the court. So I wanted to bring that up. And also with the air monitors, I do want to mention that we still have issues, smells, odors in the city of Paramount. I was driving on Rosecrans.
Mr. Serta,
and
your
it was
time is
on
now up.
odor, and I do want to mention that the mayor, the city council can request KPOD to come back and install monitors.
Okay, Mr. Serta, your
Elliot.
time has expired. Thank you. We have your comments. We appreciate them.
Thank
Next
you.
caller, please.
Hello, this is Bob.
Hello, this is the city of Paramount calling for Robert Blankenship.
Yes, this is he.
Hi, we're calling regarding your request for public comment at the Paramount City Council meeting for this evening. You're being broadcast live. You're being broadcast live to the City Council now, and we'll give you 3 minutes, which start now.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. Hello, everybody. I'd just like to introduce myself. My name is Robert Blankenship. I do work with a group called Trout Unlimited, and that's a nationwide organization, but we have a chapter here in Southern California. We got involved with the Lower Los Angeles River Working Group. Oh gosh, about 4 years ago, as that group brought people together, worked to generate ideas and see what could be done to revitalize the lower river. And through that group, I met Diana Morales and a bunch of other folks. Diana Morales from the Anthony Renner's office. She introduced me to Mike McCown, and Mike McCown referenced. We talked about some ideas, and he referenced that I should speak with the city council. So, what we've done. We've talked to LA County Public Works about naturalizing the bottom of the river in the stretch of river adjacent to Dills Park, from Somerset south to Rosecrans. They expressed an ongoing concern about non-increasing flood risk, but they did agree to review our proposal to generate concepts for that. But at the same time, we understand that it won't be successful without local input. So what we'd like to do, and what we're looking to do, is recruit individuals, groups, especially young people, maybe from the local high schools, who may have an interest in some type of restoration of the lower LA River in that stretch adjacent to Dills Park. We built in compensation for that into our grant applications to both the Rivers and Mountains Conservancy and the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. And what we're looking to do, we're real good at the engineering, the hydraulics. It can get really involved and esoteric, I'll say. But we need local folks who are passionate about the river and have a thought toward naturalizing that, who would be involved.
Mr. Blankenship, you have 20 seconds left.
Thank you. Yeah, who'll get involved, and we'd like to know what the best way to put the word out in different groups to contact to do that. Thanks.
Thank you. I am not totally briefed on what that's all about, but maybe we could, Public Works or Parks and Recs, whichever would be appropriate, get additional information and see if it's something we want to move forward with. Thank you.
Hello.
Good evening, this is the city of Paramount calling for Alejandro Yanez.
This is Alejandro.
Hi, Mr. Yanez, you're being broadcast live to the City Council for public comment. You'll be given 3 minutes, which start now.
Yes. Good afternoon, council members. It's no secret, I'm still after my handball recreational opportunities in our city. You know, council, you're doing a pretty good job of ignoring my request. Mayor Lemons, you're not answering my questions. I could understand why you don't want to answer the questions, but to be a council member means you want to represent the community, and you got to take the good and the bad. You know, the bad part about being a council member, and I want to point out the discrimination that we've gotten from the city council. You know, Gene Daniels, our former mayor, he was a mayor for 23 years, a white man, Gene Daniels. Tom Hansen, 13 years, a white man.
Mr. Yanez, would you please stop calling out personal names and just address the council as a whole over your issue? And let's not refer to individuals in a disparaging way. Just go ahead and address the council about your issue.
Mayor, those members aren't part of the council no more.
Yeah,
They're
it's
now-
still individuals that you're calling out, and we don't allow that. Okay, any member of the public, even the council, anything in disparaging way. So just go ahead and address the issue, and you can just refer to past council members if you like, as a whole. But let's don't call out individuals, and go ahead and tell us about your issue.
Past white council members who were the ones that casted the vote to eliminate our handball courts were all white individuals. And I point that out because I want to point out the discrimination that we've got. 6 prior council members never took the time to meet any Hispanic handball players to see what type of interest there was regarding handball. They kept the meetings secret and hidden, and any meetings that had to do with trying to recoup our handball court activity, we were never involved or asked to be involved in any of the meetings. You yourself, Mayor, was part of the white group of council
Madam Mayor,
members.
excuse me,
Never
I'd like
took
to,
the time meet with
Madam
us.
Mayor,
I'd like to see why.
But Mr.
Let me ask
Yanez,
you a question.
Mr. Yanez, pause the clock, please, so his time doesn't expire. Go ahead, City Attorney.
Madam Mayor, we have to remind, you've already reminded the speaker not to identify individual council members. We need to advise the speaker to direct their questions and comments to the council collectively. And that's in our rules of decorum, so we would advise the speaker to restrict his comments to the council collectively and not to individual members. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Kavanaugh. Resume the clock. Go ahead, Mr. Yanez.
That's my point, Mayor Lemons, is that, you know, when I was supporting you and I was standing up for you, speaking up for you, we were giving a lot more, I was giving a lot more leeway. But now that you understand my disagreement with you, now you apply your new rules, right? And now the rules of
Mr.
decorum
Yanez, you have 20 seconds left.
But I'm going to continue on requesting our handball courts because I honestly feel you discriminated against us. You never gave us the time to be treated equally like a human being in this city. And I'm going to continue on trying to get our handball courts.
Thank you, Mr. Yanez. We appreciate your comments. And just for clarification of the record, at the time the handball courts were decided upon, it was a multicultural council. It was made up of Latinos and Caucasians. And in not hearing Mr. Yanez's comments, I've actually personally met with him for several hours at a time and had several meetings and tried to address his concerns. So it's not a lack of caring or empathy or discrimination. It's simply a desire about what's right for Paramount and what's not, according to what we heard from our residents. Thank you, Mr. Yanez. Let's proceed.
Hello?
Good evening. This is the City of Paramount calling for Jaime Lopez.
This is Jaime Lopez.
Hi, Mr. Lopez. We're calling regarding your request for public comment at this evening's City Council meeting. You're being broadcast live to the City Council. We'll start your 3-minute clock now.
Yeah, I just wanted to first say I appreciate the update on the air monitors earlier in the meeting. I still would like to have more of a conversation about where we go forward from where we have been. I was recalling that back in July of 2019, when I was serving as a planning commissioner, Anaplex came up for a conditional use permit 869, where at the end of that meeting, I specifically was asking to have more clear language about what exactly was meant by violations according to AQMD regulations. I also recommended an annual review where Anaplex would renew their conditional use permit, where Anaplex would come before the Planning Commission to do so. And there were several other comments that I'd like to bring to the attention of the city, but I don't think this is the proper way to do it in just a 3-minute duration. So recently we also had a housing element discussed as part of the housing element for the general plan, where environmental justice was merely a 10-minute discussion. So one of the things that I would like to bring before the council is a type of forum where there is more authentic public participation to discuss these environmental concerns. The update was great as far as the air monitors are concerned. That's some information. That's better than no information, of course. But there are still a lot of questions to be asked, and I would like to have that kind of forum explored by the city. I also would like to get an update on the Unity in the Community effort, which I have not followed back on in the last couple of months, but if you could provide me or your residents, of course, as well, with a detailed update on where you are with that. And that is all I have to say for today. Thank you, and I yield my time.
Thank you. I'm sorry, did anybody catch what was he saying he wanted an update on? I didn't hear it.
Yeah.
The unity in the community.
Community.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we have another caller?
Hello?
Good evening. This is the City of Paramount calling for Jose De Leon.
Yes, this is Jose.
Hi, Mr. De Leon. We're calling regarding your request for public comment at this evening's City Council meeting. You're being broadcast live to the City Council. We'll put 3 minutes on the clock, and your time will start now.
Okay. Good evening, community, the council members, staff. I just have a quick question for Mr. Moreno. A couple of years ago, the city bought 5 monitors, and they were installed, and we buy those monitors with our money. And my question is, what is the location of those monitors? The reason that I'm asking is because we all know that most of companies here, they are already back to normal, with some exceptions. And I'm concerned about the pollution. We still, it's not that we solved the problem. I know the city, they try to sell that version, but we still have the problem because the companies, they're still here. And I just want to know the location of those monitors, because I remember at that time, I think we spent like $35,000 our money, and that's one of my requests. I also wanted to thank the city, because I saw those testing locations. They were working really good, and I went a couple times to get tested and everything. But I also feel like we couldn't move kind of far like other cities, because in most of cities now, they start way before to vaccinate their community. And us, we still waiting. We don't know what is going to happen. As far as I know, last week, in Paramount Park, there was a vaccination center, but I don't even know which stages they were taking. So I hope our city council, they can do something, because just according to the numbers, 50% of our people was positive, according to the numbers from
Mr. De Leon, you have
the
20 seconds
economy.
left.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. De Leon. I'm sorry, I wasn't able to hear a lot, because of the muffled sound. So, I caught about the air monitors, and I would just say, Mr. De Leon, if you want to review the tape, Mr. Moreno gave a full report on where our monitors are and what's going on with them. So, if you watch this recorded program, you can get that in detail. Was there anything else you needed to address?
I'm not quite sure, Madam Mayor. I was going to say I will contact Mr. De Leon tomorrow
Okay,
to
that'd be
get
great.
clarification of what his questions are and try to answer them.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Do we have another caller?
Good evening. This is the City of Paramount calling for Adrian Alvarez.
This is Adrian Alvarez.
Mr. Alvarez, we're calling regarding your request for public comment at this evening's City Council meeting. You're being broadcast live to the City Council now. We'll give you 3 minutes to address the City Council, and your time will start now.
Good evening, City Council and community that's listening through the internet or otherwise. I want to comment real quick on 3 important and pressing issues. Hopefully I have time. First, in light of the continued exclusion and bullying of children and people with special needs, not just in schools, and most people think that this is a problem in schools, but in society as well, in this city as well, I want to challenge the City Council to take the inclusion challenge, to make the City of Paramount more inclusive of children and people with special needs in this community. You can take this challenge in the website and spread the word inclusion, and it's spread the word that's global. It's easy to find on Google. But the point is just, that everybody should make something individually, in particular, to make this community more inclusive of the children with special needs. And I would love to hear in the next meeting what each City Council member is willing to do to make Paramount more inclusive and to spread the word of inclusion. The other pressing issue has been addressed. I would just like to add my support and urge the City of Paramount to make the installation of adequate and the quantity of monitors for Chromium 6. It's a problem that persists. It's a serious issue. It's a health hazard. And the City of Paramount should not rely on the AQMD for the amount of monitors and the area that covers. So I think that this city needs to take the lead and make Paramount safe in light that there are 6 companies that work in large quantities of chromium. It's just a health issue that everybody would benefit from. And finally, just in passing, I listened to one of the callers, and I think that the City Council would do right by the people of Paramount and the whole city if they differentiate and explain to people the difference between a policy of the City Council and, in this case, the way you wish for college to address you, whether or not to call your names or address you directly. That is a city policy. That is the way you wish people talk to you. But we have to read the Constitution, and the Constitution guarantees the freedom of speech to everybody. It does not allow for any City Council policy to curb the right of people to express themselves in any manner. Laws exist that address slander and libel and all of that. So there's no need to intimidate the people and telling them that they can't address people directly. That's just unconstitutional. Have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alvarez. Do we have another caller?
Good evening. This is the City of Paramount calling for Maria Paz.
Yes, it's me, but I request a translate.
Okay, one moment, please.
Thank you.
Buenas tardes. Good evening to all of you. You ready?
Ms. Paz, can you hear our translator?
¿Puede escucharme, señora?
Muy poco.
Oh, let me.
A little bit.
Can I remove my mask?
Yes.
¿Puede escucharme ahora? ¿Mejor?
Lo escucho muy lejos.
Oh, pues estoy muy cerca del micrófono. ¿Usted tiene volumen?
Sí,
Ok.
por supuesto.
Ya casi tengo el micrófono en mi boca.
Bueno, está bien. Solo necesito que ellos lo escuchen y no yo.
Si están escuchando.
Ok, muy bien. Entonces que empiece el tiempo, por favor.
Okay, let's start, Jesus. Let's roll time.
Buenas tardes, señores del Consejo.
Good evening, City Council, members of
Esta
the City
tarde
Council.
estoy aquí con
This
una
evening
pregunta
I'm
que
here with
espero
you
me
with a
sea
question.
contestada.
I hope you answer it.
La hice por teléfono y me
I
imagino
did
que
it
deben
by
de
phone,
tener la
and
respuesta
I
ya.
imagine I can get an answer.
¿Quién es el encargado de dar las multas de
Who is
estacionamiento en
in
la ciudad de
charge to
Paramount?
get repita, por favor. ¿Quién está encargado de qué?
De las multas de
Who is in
estacionamiento
charge
en la
of
ciudad
giving
de Paramount.
fines for parking in the city of
¿Este
Paramount?
departamento está conectado con el Departamento de
This
Vehículos
department is
Motorizados del
connected with
Estado
the
de California?
department. Repítalo, por favor.
¿Ese departamento está conectado con el Departamento de Vehículos Motorizados del Estado de
Are you
California?
connected with the DMV to the state of California?
Esas dos preguntas son sencillas de contestar.
Those are two easy, simple questions
Pero
that you
yo
can answer.
simplemente estoy aquí esta tarde porque me siento
The
acosada.
reason I'm here is because
siento
I feel
discriminada.
harassed.
Me siento asediada.
I feel like you
Un
harassing
día
me.
olvidé mover mi carro y precisamente
decided to
ese
move
día
my
pasaba
car
la barredora.
day
Entiendo y
when the
comprendo que
sweeper
yo hice un
passed by.
error.
Hable más despacio, por favor. La estoy interpretando en simultáneo, pero si puede un poquito hablar más fuerte para escucharla.
Un día olvidé mover mi carro
One day I forgot to move my car,
y precisamente ese día
and
pasaba la barredora.
precisely that day the sweeper passed by.
Entiendo y comprendo que
I
yo hice un error
understand that I made a mistake,
y que tengo que pagar por él.
and I had to pay for it
La multa del estacionamiento
fine
en
for
un lugar
parking.
prohibido,
because I parked in a prohibited.
en el momento y la hora que estaba mi carro,
At the time when my car was there,
fue justa.
it was fine.
Lo que no es justo
What is not fair,
es que aparte de esto,
besides this,
me hayan puesto una multa por placas vencidas.
they give me a citation because my license plates were past due.
Las cosas sucedieron de la siguiente manera.
This is the way things happen.
Resulta que un día de febrero de este año
Turns out to be that in February of this year,
me estacioné en un lugar donde no me tenía
I
que
parked in a
estacionar
place where I wasn't supposed to park
porque pasaba la barredora
because the sweeper was going to pass by.
y me dieron una multa.
And they gave me a citation, a fine.
Pero no solo conforme con eso,
But not just that only alone. There wasn't just that.
y sacando más dinero de mi cartera,
And taking more money out of my wallet,
dinero del que yo no dispongo ahorita,
money that I don't have right now,
ya que por la pandemia, al
due to
igual que
this
mucha
pandemic,
gente,
as well as other people,
sigo sin trabajo.
I still don't have a job. I'm unemployed.
De eso, al parecer,
It seems to be.
las dificultades económicas
That's
de los
the
residentes de la
difficulties
ciudad de
también that we
Paramount
have for all the residents here in the city of Paramount.
no le interesa a sus representantes.
Dígalo otra vez. Repítalo
Siguen
último.
dando multas
Yeah, continúe.
y aparte buscando pretextos para agrandar esas
Guys
multas.
looking for excuses to give more citations or fines.
Sigo con mis preguntas.
I continue with my question again.
La computadora está ligada al Departamento de Vehículos Motorizados.
Your computer link a link to the DMV?
¿Acaso el agente se comunicó con alguien para
Perhaps
informar,
people
preguntar si las
communicated with something else to do this?
placas de mi carro estaban vencidas?
Because my plates were past due?
¿O simplemente me dio esa multa de estacionamiento
It's supposed to just give me a parking
para
fine
ver si era chicle y pega.
to see if it was gum or pear.
Y regalaba yo más dinero a la ciudad.
For me to give more money to the city as a present,
Yo me sigo preguntando,
I
¿qué
continue
pasa con todo
asking
el grupo de
myself,
personas
what happened
a
with
quienes
all
les
those
dan
people?
multas
They
y no
receive
saben cómo
citations
apelarlas?
and they don't know how to appeal them.
¿Qué pasa con las personas
What
humildes
happened
que
with
trabajan
people
todos los días
that would go to work every day,
para pagar el sustento de sus casas
A, rent, and the maintenance of your
y
homes,
les dan una multa injusta?
and then you receive an unfair citation or fine?
Injusta.
Unfair.
Les voy a pedir que dejen de estar acosando a los residentes.
I'm going to continue asking you not to be harassing us.
Les voy a exigir que
I'm
dejen
going to
de estar
demand
acosando a los
to stop
residentes.
abusing your residents.
Bastante es que ya nos hayan subido los
Enough.
taxes.
That you already got our taxes even higher.
¿Acaso eso no es suficiente?
Could you please tell Maria, that's the name that I caught, that we very much appreciate her questions and that we are going to have public safety
Sí.
contact her to answer all of them.
El Departamento de Seguridad va a hablar con usted, señora, para darle una respuesta a su pregunta que usted nos está haciendo en un día después.
Sí, estoy haciendo una pregunta, pero también estoy exigiendo que nos dejen de acosar como residentes.
But I'm also demanding to stop harassing us as residents.
Tell her,
Que
thank
no
you very
haga
much for her
retaliation
call. We
después,
will
como me
Muchísimas
sucedió en
gracias
una
por su
ocasión.
llamada, señora María. Y se le dará una respuesta en el futuro pronto. I hope so.
Thank you.
Muchas gracias.
So Maggie, you have direction on that? You can handle it? Thank you. Thank you very much.
Madam Mayor, we have two more public comments
Okay.
over the telephone.
Hello?
Good evening. This is the City of Paramount calling for Rodolfo Cortez.
Yeah.
Mr. Cortez, we're calling regarding your request for public comment at the Paramount City Council meeting being broadcast live to the City Council. We'll give you 3 minutes to address the council, and your time will start now.
I would like Spanish, Español.
Okay, one moment while we get the translator, please.
Buenas tardes, ¿me escucha?
Sí, lo escucho.
Qué bien, gracias. Puede continuar.
Gracias. Quiero decir que estoy muy de acuerdo con la persona que acaba de llamar.
I want to tell you that in total agreement with the person that just called.
Es importante
It's very important
que los concejales ya no nos acosen.
that the council members don't harass us anymore.
Lo que hizo la mayor, el council ahorita
The mayor,
fue
the
incorrecto.
council did is incorrect.
Lo que hicieron fue la cortaron antes de su tiempo.
What you did is you cut it off before her time finished.
No debes de empezar a hablar, dar una respuesta hasta que la persona termine.
You can't give an answer until the person finishes speaking.
Todo esto está muy aclarado en el Brown Act.
All that is according to the Brown Act, la ley Brown.
No puede hacer eso.
You can't do that.
Es importante escuchar todo el comentario de la persona.
It's very important that every comment from every person,
Y también ha habido muchas personas, incluyéndome a mí, que
and there's
hemos
been a
tenido
lot of people,
problemas de
including
parking.
myself. Continue.
Esto es porque, por lo que se ha oído, ¿por qué el Parking Committee no está abierto?
This is why is that the parking committee is not open?
O sea, ¿por qué no están en junta como en Zoom o aquí en YouTube?
Why can't you have a meeting like Zoom or YouTube?
Hay muchas personas que no tienen lugar para estacionarse.
We are just too many people that they don't have places to park.
Y ¿cómo va a ser eso posible que dan tantos tickets? Eso es un terror
And how is it going to
psicológico.
be possible that you're giving so many fines, so many tickets?
No lo debemos aceptar y no lo vamos a aceptar.
We shouldn't accept it, and we're not going to accept it.
Ok. Yo quería especialmente hablar de lo siguiente.
I wanted to speak actually of the following.
Es importante que el gobierno de Paramount ya pare de acosar a las personas por decir la verdad.
Important that the city council Paramount, is stop harassing people.
El pueblo nada más les dice la verdad.
Perdón?
Lo que el pueblo está diciendo es que hay problemas en la ciudad,
What the
incluyendo
people
con
are
el
saying are
aire,
just the
con el
problems of the
agua.
city.
¿Y cómo es posible que no nos dejan hacer nuestro punto? Siempre
How
dicen
is
que,
it possible that you don't allow
ya es
us to
suficiente.
make our point?
Esto no lo aceptamos.
We would not accept that.
Nosotros tenemos nuestro tiempo. Ustedes no lo deben de violar. Bajo el Brown Act tenemos el derecho de hablar.
We have the right to time. We have our own time according to the Brown Act.
You have your own time. You had your update.
Ustedes tienen su tiempo.
Ustedes tienen su tiempo y este es nuestro tiempo. No,
You
nos
have your time and we have our time.
¿Entienden?
You understand?
También quiero hablar, igual se ha dicho mucho del aire.
I also want to
¿Por qué
talk
estas
about the
fábricas
air.
siguen existiendo?
¿Y continúa qué?
O sea, realmente deben de ya cerrar. ¿Por qué que tenemos que hacer toda esa fábrica de esas cosas que nos perjudican?
Why do we have to close all those factories? Because they're really damaging us.
¿Por qué no podemos tener trabajos saludables, trabajos
And we have
verdes?
jobs, healthy jobs.
Lo que hacen esas fábricas son armas para ir a atacar a otros países. ¿Eso no está
What those
correcto?
factories do, they make weapons to go and attack other countries.
No debemos de aceptar este régimen militar.
Shouldn't accept this regimen.
O sea, uno puede ser patriota,
We could be a patriot.
ser militarista hacia la guerra.
Patriots.
Es esencial que el concilio ya
Is-
busque manera de arreglar este problema del aire. Y
Essential
esto va a
that the
involucrar
city,
cerrar
the
las
city
fábricas.
council find a way to fix this problem with the air.
Esta manera de arreglar el aire tiene que ser cerrar las fábricas, que ya no hagan
Way
estas
to be
cosas
able
que
to
hacen.
fix the air quality, it should be just to close down those factories.
Repito, claro que se puede haber otro tipo de fábricas que produzcan cosas que realmente necesitamos,
I
que sean
repeat, there
verdes.
could be other type of factories that could produce this type of samples.
Ok, también quiero decir que lo considero muy importante
I also
que
want to say that I
la
consider
comunidad,
very important.
sepa más del agua, porque hemos oído mucho del aire, pero ¿qué
We
tal del
talk a
agua?
lot
¿El agua
about
estará
the air, but
saludable?
what about the water? Is it healthy?
O sea, ¿cómo se va a saber? Y no es aceptable que si nosotros los ciudadanos le
How are we
pedimos
gonna know?
Preguntas al
Mr. Cortez, you have
Ourselves?
20 seconds left.
The citizens, we have questions. Le quedan 20 segundos.
tenemos preguntas y
We have
ustedes
questions.
tienen que abrir su mentalidad
And
a
you have to
decirnos
open
cuáles
up
son las
your
respuestas.
mind to listen.
Porque si no nos dicen, ¿qué vamos a hacer?
Thank you, Mr.
Because if you don't
Rodolfo.
tell us,
Your
what are
time-
we going to do? Muchísimas gracias, señor. Su tiempo ya ha terminado.
Your time has expired. We thank you for your comments. I would
Muchas
just
gracias
like
por sus
to
comentarios.
put on the record and correct you that the last speaker's time was not taken away. A matter of fact, additional time was
En
extended
las
for
actas que su
interpretation,
tiempo en realidad se fue extendido
Spanish and English.
porque
So,
hicimos una
time was
interpretación de
not
inglés a
cut,
español
time
y se
was
le otorgó
actually
más
extended.
tiempo.
Okay, thank you very much. We have
Muchísimas
any other
gracias.
callers?
evening. This is the City of Paramount calling for Tony Warfield.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Mr. Warfield. We're calling regarding your request for public comment at this evening's City Council meeting. We'll give you 3 minutes to address the City Council, and we'll go ahead and start the clock now.
Thank you so much, Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Council members, and staff. I just wanted to call and tell you thank you so much. You know, my family has, and friends, we've all been hit pretty hard the COVID situation here, and you know, we've lost a few family members, and a lot of my friends have been really sick, and thankfully they've all recovered. And I just wanted to tell you all thank you so much because you know you brought the bringing the vaccine here to Paramount, as well as the mobile testing facilities, that van, or what do you call it, the bus. I really appreciate it. I'm out there working every day, and I see so many people coming and going, and a lot of them do recover, but, you know, I literally just recently lost another close friend to COVID, so I really appreciate you bringing the vaccines here to Paramount. That'll help a lot of the residents here, and I'm hoping that we can get as many people taken care of as possible so we can get back to normal here. You know, it's a heart-wrenching thing to see so many people come and, you know, get ill and leave and pass on. But I really appreciate you all taking the leadership role and getting us those vaccines here. So I just wanted to say thank you, and you're very much appreciated, and you're the rest of my time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Warfield, and please accept our sorrow for your losses.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. Take care now.
Madam Mayor, that does it for the oral. We do have one written public comment, so our city clerk, Ms. Heidi Luce, will read that one.
Thank you, Mr. Moreno. This comment is from Sonia De Leon. First and foremost, I want to thank the city's recreational department for collaborating with Padres Unidos de Paramount as they embark on bringing Special Olympics to Paramount. The city's recreational department also informed Padres Unidos de Paramount that funds would be allocated to our residents with special needs for activities. How much monetary funds will the city allocate is a good question. Anyway, we would like to see how monetary funds will be allocated on the next agenda. For now, Padres Unidos de Paramount would like to challenge the City Council to take the pledge, Spread the Word, Inclusion, at www.spreadtheword.global and tell us, residents, how you will spread inclusion in our community. The Padres Unidos de Paramount recommends a Paramount Day of Inclusion, citywide activities. Respectfully, Sonia De Leon. That concludes the written comment, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Heidi.
Madam Mayor, I do have a follow-up on that one question. We do have about the amount of funds for this service. We currently have $5,000 budgeted for this current fiscal year for adaptive recreation. We've been surveying local cities about their programs and developing program ideas and costs that we will present to you, the City Council, at our next fiscal year budget for your approval, which would be in June of 2021. Additionally, we have green-lighted a special needs folklorico class with the Latinas Arts Foundation that will be starting soon. And lastly, the YMCA still has group swim lessons that special needs kids can join depending on their level of assistance. And the YMCA also offers a one-to-one ratio swim instruction options as well. And that information was emailed to Ms. De Leon earlier today.
Thank you, Mr. Moreno. Does that conclude public comments? Okay, we're going to move on to the consent calendar. This is a 1 through 8 item. I'm sorry, 4 through 8.
Just to clarify, we are approving for February 2nd and 16th on the same motion?
I'm sorry.
We are approving February 2nd and 16th on the same motion? We're approving?
Yes.
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 I'll move the item.
I second. Councilmember Cuellar Stallings.
And did you move, Ms. Olmos?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Vice Mayor almost moved, seconded by Cuellar Stallings. Can we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Aguayo,
Yes.
Councilmember Guillen,
Yes.
Councilmember Cuellar Stallings.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Olmos.
Yes.
Mayor Lemons.
Yes. We'll next move on to new business, urgency ordinance 1149.
Yes, Madam Mayor. This is a proposed urgency ordinance that would regulate the percentage that food delivery platforms can charge our restaurants here in town. Some examples of this is Grubhub, Postmates, and Uber Eats. There are a number of cities that have adopted a similar ordinance, and just to be sure that this would be beneficial to our local restaurants, we surveyed them, and they told us that, in fact, they would welcome a similar law in Paramount. They actually feel they are getting pretty gouged by these delivery services. As you'll see, this proposed ordinance would allow for the restaurants to take action against the food delivery services. The city would not take any action again whatsoever. Just a reminder, because this is an emergency ordinance, it does require 4/5 vote to pass this evening. And with that, I'll turn it over to our Assistant City Manager, Mr. Andrew Villalpando, who will handle the item. Andrew?
Thank you, Mr. City Manager, and good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. The following report, as John just mentioned, is another demonstration of our city's efforts to lend a hand to our local struggling businesses, in particularly, in response to these, all the adverse impacts that COVID-19 has brought, not only our local community, but the region. So as you'll see, we're exploring and we continue to explore a variety of different creative avenues to try to implement different tools and resources that our local businesses can take advantage of to help them survive. So just a little bit of background here, and it all kind of surrounds what the health orders are that you're all very familiar with. So back March 4th of last year, LA County declared a local public health emergency in response to the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic across the nation and county, and that health order still remains in effect today. Following the Safer at Home health officer orders, which were aimed at slowing the spread of the COVID-19 virus throughout the county and state, the city also declared its own local emergency back in March 13th of last year as well. As part of the orders, the state and county implemented a ban on indoor and in-person dining, all as precautionary measures to try to protect the public from the spread of COVID-19. However, as a result of all of these closures and these bans, as you can imagine, the food service industry has shuttered, many restaurants closing themselves as they struggle to operate under these very restrictive health regulations, which of course were intended and are intended to protect the public and food service workers. An alternative to in-person dining is restaurants working with third-party app companies to deliver their food or their product to customers. As you can imagine, this is a very lucrative opportunity for both the restaurant and these apps. And some of the popular apps are, you're probably familiar with, the Grubhub, Postmates, Uber Eats, and so on. So this new method of operation has been pretty vital in order to keep restaurants surviving and going during this COVID-19 pandemic. However, as you can imagine, there are challenges that come with that. So in order to participate in a food delivery service, the restaurant must enter into a contract with these third-party delivery service providers. These arrangements pose a significant challenge for restaurants trying to survive. Now, of course, it's important to note that as we talk about fees and all of the parameters that come with these contracts, these are not new. They didn't just pop up recently. These existed prior to COVID-19, but it's important to note that restaurants were in a much better position prior to COVID-19 to sustain and offset some of these fees that come with some of the challenges we're going to talk about in a moment. So the contracts require that the restaurant pay fees and commissions to these delivery services apps. The fees are paid for by the restaurant, and they are in addition to any fees charged by the delivery service provider to the customer. It was discovered that many of the delivery service companies are currently charging restaurants in our area a fee or commission ranging between 10 and 30% of the purchase price per order when customers order food through their apps. Although food delivery services have been charging these commissions, as I mentioned, prior to COVID-19, most restaurants were in a position to survive prior to that and were able to offset any of those hits that they were taking. With indoor dining suspended in LA County since last year, Paramount restaurants are considerably more reliant on these takeout orders and these apps as a method of operation. So let's talk about what the impact is on restaurants. To better understand this issue, we spoke with 10 local restaurateurs all of whom indicated, as the city manager mentioned, that they would support such a local ordinance that would place a cap on these service fees. All of the owners talked about their bottom line and margins and what used to be called profits is really now just breaking even. And of course, as you can imagine, any fee that's imposed on these restaurants is only taking and eating into that. So in response, staff worked with the city attorney to draft an ordinance intended to assist our local restaurants in surviving these adverse impacts caused by these COVID-19 shutdowns. Staff reviewed similar local legislation that imposed temporary caps from other California cities. This is the list of agencies in Southern California alone that have adopted a similar ordinance. I say agencies because you also notice that the County of Los Angeles just adopted a similar ordinance. Adopted one in August of last year. Apologies. So what does the draft ordinance contain? These are generally three key provisions that we've modeled based on other city ordinances. And of course, there are multiple sections in the draft ordinance, but these are the three key provisions within the ordinance that impact the cap on fees. So as I go through each one, Ordinance 1149 would prohibit the following in Paramount. It would prohibit charging a restaurant any combination of fees, commissions, or costs that total more than 20% of the purchase price of each online order. It would prohibit charging a restaurant a delivery fee that totals more than 15% of the purchase price. It would prohibit charging a restaurant a delivery fee for an online order that does not involve delivery of food. It would also prohibit charging a restaurant any fee, commission, or cost other than as permitted in those mentioned in the previous slide. And lastly, it would prohibit the reduction of compensation, including any tip or gratuity paid to any worker as a result of the prohibitions we just discussed. A second provision is the effective date and timeframe that's proposed in this ordinance. This urgency ordinance, if adopted by 4/5 vote this evening by the City Council, is pursuant to state law as an urgency ordinance and would take effect immediately. The city attorney has drafted in the language that reasonably it would expire following the Los Angeles County Emergencies Declaration when that is terminated. And of course, that would be accompanied by a report by the city manager to address the impact that it's had locally. As far as enforcement goes, this is unique in that it's would definitely be a city law if passed this evening. However, enforcement of it would be between the two parties, both the restaurant and the delivery service provider. Because the delivery services are provided as a part of a contract between two businesses, the restaurant and the delivery service company would have to enter into it would be a civil matter between those two parties. So, for example, a restaurant may file a civil action in court to seek damages or injunctive relief to stop the violation, but it would require the restaurant give notice to the defendant, as well as provide them an opportunity for 45 days to correct the violation. At that point, if it's not remedied, a civil action can be taken. So naturally, this leads, and as I close out, this leads to some pretty reasonable questions in terms of what the legal risk may be for the city. So in conducting a risk assessment, we pose several questions. Does the proposed ordinance negate the contract between the restaurant and the third-party food delivery service? The proposed ordinance may be viewed as negating any existing contract between the parties and may have the effect of unilaterally modifying an existing contract between two parties. Does the ordinance also apply to the customer using the third-party food delivery service? For purposes of the enforcement, only the restaurant or delivery worker can bring such an action. And lastly, if a restaurant files a lawsuit against the food delivery service provider for violating the fee caps in the city's ordinance, what is the city's exposure? It's advised that if the city council adopts any such ordinance, it does so only as a temporary urgency measure, as we proposed, until such time either the state or county lifts all restrictions to indoor dining. So that concludes my presentation. It's recommended that the city council read by title only, waive further reading, introduce and adopt urgency ordinance number 1149 by a 4/5 vote to take effect this evening. And of course, myself or the city attorney are here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Andrew. Are there questions?
No, but I do have a comment, Madam Mayor.
Yes.
If I may. So I just want to say thank you, staff and city attorney, for, I think, getting this on the agenda. I think within the past 8 months, I think all of us walking into our small restaurants notice that they now have DoorDash, or what was the other one? Uber Eats. I mean, I've never seen those many stickers on someone's doors before, but I think this is the perfect time to show the support of our small businesses, and especially during this time. So I hope that council, we can all agree that this is important to our small businesses.
Other questions?
I have a question. So when the inside dining returns, then that means it goes back to the 30%?
When the inside dining takes effect, this ordinance then basically becomes, it voided out.
Voided out,
Yeah.
okay.
So it basically goes back to the restaurant and the third party to negotiate whatever terms they want,
Okay,
that
thank
they
you.
did before.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Anyone else?
I have a couple questions. Have we assessed, because I know what the price is from Uber Eats or Postmates, we're paying more. A lot of it comes on to the consumer, the price, and it goes to the restaurants. But the restaurants have made up a lot of their prices, a lot of their loss by raising prices. So we have some pandemic menus here in the city of Paramount and all over the other cities. Prices have been raised. So this is a matter of control, the way I see it. So we want to control how Uber Eats or Postmates enter into these contracts that they can't do this, that, or the other. But we have to look at those people who are driving for Uber, and a lot of their costs have increased because to provide food during this pandemic, we have relied a lot on these persons who are going from house to house and delivering food. So a lot of the costs have gone up on their end as well. So how do we control what they enter into a contract, what Uber or whoever else wants to charge, but not control what the restaurants on their elevated menu prices? So it just seems like there needs to be not one-sided here. And I know the restaurants don't have to enter into the contract if they don't want to, based on the recommendation or the ordinance tonight. My issue is, how is that going to affect the residents of Paramount? So if they don't have these delivery places, I just know that these delivery places offer a great benefit to elderly, to people who can't get out during the pandemic, and to people who drink late at night and have food delivered, as opposed to going out and getting food. So to me, I'm only seeing one side of it right now, and I just want to make sure that we really look at the big picture here, and who is going to, I know the restaurants are in need, and that's why, we've tried to help them as much as we can, but there's another side to it also, and I just think we need to look at that other side a little bit more as well.
Anyone else? I just want to add that the questions that you brought up are the same ones that I had. Personally, my mind was put at ease when we spoke to the other cities that have done it, to see if it had a negative impact and if it had hurt their delivery. I was also concerned, like, are we doing this and the restaurants aren't going to like it because it might hurt their contracts with these people? And I guess a survey was done of the restaurants and they were totally in favor of it. So those things put my mind at ease about it. I don't know that it will yours, but I understand your concerns. I had the same ones.
Okay, and then I looked at the cities, if you could go back a few slides, that have already implemented this, and I looked to see, what I'm trying to avoid is that these companies from Postmates or whoever they are don't say, you know what, Paramount is making this so difficult, screw it, because I can go to Bellflower, I can go to Downey, I can go to Lakewood, because those are our surrounding cities that are not here. You're looking at Alhambra and Pasadena, San Marino, Glendale, Santa Monica. Those are in a completely different class of income that we're in. But if you look at our surrounding cities, they're not here.
So can I just
what
clarify?
I don't want to say, I'm still talking.
Sorry.
What I
Sorry.
don't want to see is that we block our own residents from getting a service that's much needed right now during the pandemic. And I don't know that a city can say, hey, this is how much you can charge and have that much control. Those are my concerns.
Did you have a comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to
Vice
add,
Mayor?
City of Artesia and the City of Southgate have also implemented this as well.
Okay.
I think there was a couple missing.
Are there other questions? Okay, so I'll entertain a motion on the item.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved by Vice Mayor Olmos and seconded by Councilmember Aguayo. Can we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Aguayo,
Yes.
Councilmember Guillen,
No.
Councilmember Quer Stallings,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Olmos,
Yes.
Mayor Lemons.
Yes. Okay, let's move on to resolution number 21005.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. Our Public Works Director, Ms. Adriana Figueroa, will handle this item. Adriana?
Thank you, John. Madam Mayor and members of the City Council, the California Complete Streets Act of 2008, also known as AB 1358, requires that when cities and counties make substantive revisions to the circulation elements of their general plans, they identify how they will provide for the mobility needs of all users of the roadways. Caltrans manages the state's Active Transportation Program grants, also known as ATP, and they view all transportation improvements through what is called a complete streets lens, which is essentially an opportunity to improve safety, access, and mobility for all travelers in California, recognizing bicycle, pedestrian, and transit modes as integral elements of the transportation system. The City of Paramount already supports the complete streets approach that encompasses a comprehensive, integrated transportation network with infrastructure and design that allows safe and convenient travel along and across streets for all users, including pedestrians, users and operators of public transit, bicyclists, persons with disabilities, seniors, children, motorists, users of green modes, and movers of commercial goods. As mentioned earlier, the state's Active Transportation Program grant supports the concept of complete streets and makes it a requirement now for grant proponents to do the same when applying for ATP funds. Likewise, any state ATP program funds that are managed by Metro would also have the same requirement. We have submitted funding applications through the ATP program for our bikeway project and hope to be considered for funding soon. Having a resolution supporting the state's complete streets approach would keep our application highly competitive. With that, it is recommended that the City Council read by title only and adopt resolution number 21005. That concludes my report, but I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Adriana. Questions? If not, can I have a motion on the item, please?
Councilmember Quer Stallings motions to move the item.
This is Councilmember Aguayo. I second the motion.
Been moved by Cuellar Stallings, seconded by Councilmember Aguayo. Can we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Aguayo,
Yes.
Councilmember Guillen,
Yes.
Councilmember Quer Stallings,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Olmos,
Yes.
Mayor Lemons.
Yes. Resolution number 21006.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The next item is our annual review of the request for a trash rate increase by CalMet, the city's franchise hauler. CalMet's current contract allows them to seek a rate increase once per year, as is the case each year. Staff negotiates with CalMet from their initial request. So Adriana Figueroa, our Public Works Director, will tell us about the latest request from CalMet. And Adriana, take it over.
Thank you, John. Madam Mayor and members of the City Council, as you know, in the city's contract with its refuse provider, CalMet Services, there's a provision for an annual rate increase for both residential and commercial customers. This rate increase is negotiated between the city and CalMet representatives before the new rate takes effect in April of each year. The city and CalMet recently concluded these negotiations, and staff has the following rate increase recommendation for your consideration. Let's see if this works. There we go. As a way of background, last year's increase in rates were 4% on residential and 8.8% on commercial accounts. Typically, these rate increases are based on higher operational costs incurred by CalMet, particularly given the added cost to process recyclables ever since exporting this commodity became more and more challenging. And of course, the Consumer Price Index, or CPI, increases on the overall cost of operations. Another significant factor the city takes into consideration is the cost of services as compared with our neighboring communities. Maintaining a competitive trash rate for our residents has always been one of, if not the most important factor for city staff during the negotiations with CalMet. went too far. Oh, can you help me, Danny? Thank you. The 2021 rate recommendation presented to you tonight is 2.5% for residential accounts and 6.85% on commercial accounts. If approved, these rates would go into effect on April 1st. And I wanted to share with you, oops. Okay, thank you. For residential accounts, the 2.5% increase will result in a 0.48 cents increase. And on a monthly basis, that residential rate would increase from $19.74 to $20.22. Next. Thank you. As you can see from this table, even with the 2.5% increase, Paramount's rate for residential customers stays very competitive, and it's among the lowest rates when compared with area cities. When compared with other CalMet cities, Paramount's residential rates remains the lowest. Also, please note that most cities negotiate their increases later in the year, particularly in July. With commercial accounts, the 6.85% increase will result in a $9.89 increase for customers with a 3 cubic yard bin with 1 time a week pickup. And so the rate would go from $145.25 to $155.14. And again, for comparison purposes, this chart shows the commercial rates for Paramount and our neighboring cities for customers with, again, a 3-yard bin with a 1 time a week pickup. Considering most cities adjust their rates in July, our commercial rates would continue to remain competitive. So to summarize, while the 2021 annual negotiations with CalMet has resulted in rate increases for both residential and commercial customers, the new rates remain relatively low and highly competitive in comparison with other cities in the Southeast area. So with that, it is recommended that the City Council read by title only and adopt Resolution Number 21006, approving the modification of charges for the collection, removal, and disposal of garbage, rubbish, and other refuse matter within the City of Paramount. That concludes my report, but I'll be happy to answer any questions. I should also say Bill Kalpakoff with CalMet can be on the line to answer any questions that you may have.
All right. Thank you, Adriana. Are there questions?
I have a comment.
Okay.
Kind of question, kind of comment. Did we look at anything like putting an ordinance into place for this current contract? Because if we look at residents like we look at restaurants and we want to help them through the pandemic, how do we help our residents from increasing prices everywhere? Electricity. And, you know, this is a fight I go through every year with increasing prices. But my point is, if we're going to look at ordinances and getting into contracts and changing things, why didn't we do it for CalMet as well? I mean, if we look at our residents that are hurting, losing jobs and taking a loss, I mean, is this the right time to be raising prices? I mean, I know we're going to do it. We're in a contract with them. My point is, I just think we always need to look at the big picture. It seems like we kind of pick and choose who we're going to represent, who we're going to fight for. And so many times I think we lose perspective of what is it about for, what is in it for the residents and what is actually being taken away from them. And, you know, we want to start looking at going into contracts between restaurants and food deliveries. I mean, at some point, when are we going to look at what are we going to do for the residents here? Just a comment.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I'd like to speak. Thank you. So, Adrienne, I was looking at this, and I pulled out my bill, and I was looking. So we get actually billed every 3 months.
Quarterly.
So, correct, right? A quarter. So, kind of going back what Councilmember Guillen was saying. So, I guess my ask is, because of what's happening with the pandemic, and since it's billed every 3 months, what is the possibility of us extending this out that way, like I said, because of the pandemic, to make sure maybe we could do it in 2 billing cycles, if CalMet would agree to that? Because I'm saying we're contracted with them till 2023. This is a yearly increase. You guys negotiated it from 10%, I think, all the way to 2.5, which was great. But is there any way that we can extend the increase till people are back to work a little bit more, they have more money, you know, to pay some of these bills? So that's kind of the request to ask if we could talk to CalMet, possibly.
I can get Bill on the line.
Yeah,
if
we
you
can
like.
get
Yeah.
Mr. Kalpakoff on the line if you'd like.
Are you talking about just delaying the increase.
The increase
and
is-
for like a few months, like a billing cycle,
It's like
3
a billing
months.
cycle, so I guess, you know,
Yeah.
what can we do? Because if it's a 3,
So we're
like every
clear, we're clear
quarter-
what we're asking when we
Yeah,
talk
so this
about.
would be in
because-
a, rather than start it, if I'm understanding you correctly, Vice Mayor, rather than start it in April 1, it would be July 1, the next billing.
it would be the best, yeah, because I mean, we're all in the same cycle,
Deferment,
correct?
yeah.
We're all in the same cycle in Paramount for April
Yes.
1st?
I have no idea when you pay your trash bill.
I think he's getting the feedback from the meeting.
Oh, he's watching
Bill,
it at the
Bill,
same
can
time?
you put the meeting on pause so that we don't get that feedback?
Yeah.
Oops, sorry.
On
He's-
delay.
You know what? I had it on mute. Bill, can you turn off your feed so that we don't get the double feed on this end? Did you ask I'm sorry, did you hear the question that was asked?
I heard part of it.
So I believe, let me repeat it. I think I understand it. What the ask is to see if the rate increase could take effect in July and not April, correct?
Which is the next billing cycle.
Which is the
yeah.
next billing cycle.
4 months.
And that would be for residential.
For
accounts.
residential,
Yeah, not
correct.
the commercial.
Oh, only for residential. Okay. That is the question, Bill.
Well, I mean, I would basically say no. This last year, I know COVID, and good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council. This last year with this COVID, it's really took a toll on us. Especially we're talking residential, so a lot of people are staying at home, working from home. Our trash that has been generated probably increased almost 30%. Residential waste, the bulky items increased almost 30%. It's hard. You know, with all the COVID procedures we put in place to keep our drivers and our employees safe, staggered start times, personal protection, mask, gloves, sanitizing our trucks, sanitizing the office 3 times a day. Our labor increased in October 60 cents. We're $27.05 an hour. With overtime, that's anything over 8 hours, it's $40.57. In October of this year, again, it's going up to 85 cents, so there'll be a total labor increase of $1.45 an hour. And these are things that just keep propping up on us. Our disposal cost versus our revenue for residential right now is almost 75%. So that leaves us with 25% of our rate to cover all our overhead and our labor, our cost, and so on. I mean, it's a tough. We're in a tough situation right now, and I get it with COVID and suffering, but the residents have been paying their bill probably as good as any year, and the same thing with the commercial. We haven't had a large increase in delinquents, and what we're asking for is 48 cents a month. You know, that's insignificant for I think a lot of people. And I think we're coming in. We got a 3% on CPI plus disposal costs, and we're only asking for 2.5%. I think that's already a big compromise that we're making. So I mean, I'll kind of leave it at that and answer any other questions regarding it. But I think we have to stay with the increase April 1st. I think it's just it's something we cannot afford to give up on.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kalpikoff. I just want to add as a point of information to everybody as you make this decision that some of you weren't here, so I did bring to the existing council about 4 years ago. I was serving on the sanitation district as the mayoral representative, and sanitation told us then that to start preparing in our cities for this tipping increase, because China stopped accepting recyclables. And when they stopped doing that, our trash companies had to pick them up. So they used to sell those to China and make a profit, actually, and it didn't have to go in our landfills. They didn't have to pay the additional tipping fee. But that has happened, and it sounds like it's finally coming through to fruition, which I think is what the tipping fee is about, just so you have all the information. That's all I need to add.
I'd like to say a comment.
Madam Mayor, if I can just.
Was it you that said comment, or was it down
Okay,
here?
go ahead.
Okay.
what I've noticed from, I see my bill every month, but what I've noticed in my immediate family, that there has been an increase in trash in my family. I have the granddaughters at home, so it's more trash. And, they're not eating breakfast, lunch at school, so it's more trash at home. My husband's home 24/7. Now, the daughter and the son-in-law, they work at a school, but my son-in-law is only working maybe 2 days out of the month. So he's home and there's more trash. So there's been an increasement of trash in my own personal life. So I'm actually putting trash bags on the side of my trash can, and I wait for the trash man to go by and plead with him if he could please take this trash. Because, legally, one of the trash man told me, he goes, I don't have to take this trash. And then when I'm noticing there is a vacant duplex behind me, and someone was taking their trash can and using it for their own good instead of having asking the trash company to purchase another extra black trash can to dispose their trash. They were using that one, and that duplex has been vacant for a year. So my husband said, that's not fair, but that's my own personal, and also from the neighbor, he also told me there's an increase in his trash. And he asked me, Velma, how did you get the trash man to take it? I said, I spoke to him in Spanish, and I said, por favor, me se lo puede llevar, and he told me, I will this time, but I can't next time. You're going to have to wait and put it in your
So
trash.
basically, you're just validating Mr. Kalbakoff about the increase in
There is
disposing.
a lot of increased trash
Okay.
in my home.
And then Ms. Gann?
And I just wanted to say, I understand where he's coming from and how COVID has caused the increase, and that's my point. When we get back to these food deliveries, they also have increased costs and things that they had to put in place for COVID. And so I just don't we can't get involved and renegotiate a contract at this point with CalMed. And it's kind of like, why are we putting our nose in to these food service places too? That was kind of my point. I understand where he's coming from and the additional costs. And who are we to say, no, that's not true. Those aren't accurate costs. It's the same thing. That's what we're doing to somebody else. It's just about picking and choosing who we're doing it with. That's all.
Any other discussion?
I actually have a comment. I actually know a couple people that are residents and work for CalMed, and they're working just so hard right now. And like Vilma, I've noticed it at my house, and I don't think anybody likes any increase in anything that we have to pay, but it is a service and we need it. And for me, I'm looking at both residential and commercial because how many of our businesses are struggling as well. But if we put it on a scale, and we look at how hard everybody's working, at CalMed, and then, all of the extra stuff. I'm with, my kids, make sure that all the recycling goes in the recycling bin because I have trash too that I'm like, oh my goodness, the trash can's full and it's only, Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
And for us, trash day is Thursday in my neighborhood. So, that's, it's one of those things that this isn't easy, but it's definitely something that I think needs to be done.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, I'm still going. Is Mr. Kapelkoff still on the phone? So is there a way possibly, like I said, there's two sides to the story, absolutely. CalMed does an amazing job. When we call for a haul-up pickup, they're the first ones there. So there's two sides of the story. So we have CalMed and we have our residents that are going through some tough times. So is it possible to meet us halfway, Mr. Kapelkoff? We're with you till 2023. So if we're saying, if we can't do a billing cycle, will you at least give us 2 months? Work with us a little bit. I don't want to take the full time, but is there any possible way? And I'm looking at you, John, because I'm just thinking time frames and stuff because of the billing cycle. But Is there any way that we can meet in the middle somewhere? Just like I said, we want to give you the increase, absolutely. But how do we get by these next couple months?
Or give the residents an extra trash can so Velma doesn't have to say, oh my gosh, take it, please.
Then they'll say, you're only allotted one can, ma'am, so you still have to beg.
Yeah,
Does Mr. Kalpikoff have any response?
Oh, hang on, 1 second, Bill. Sorry, I had to reduce to get less feed. Okay, you're on now.
Well, I'm listening, but I don't know how this could be done. I mean, you know, for 44 cents or 88 cents, I don't really think it's going to make much of a difference to anybody, and I don't know how that's going to affect our billing cycle. You know, and the other thing is thinking about, you know, all the illegal dumping that's going on in the city, and we're picking up the hot spots, we're servicing all that for free in order to keep the city nice and clean and livable. For everyone to enjoy. You know, you're kind of putting me in a pickle, but I still think that we need the rate increase just because of all our costs that have gone up tremendously, you know, over the last year, and it's not something that's in our control. But I can't go to my driver and say I can't pay you the rates because we can't afford it. But it's part of our labor contract. It's part of our contractual obligation. And it's kind of almost the same over here. Like I said, CPI is 3%. The disposal cost is 14%. We're not getting anywhere near that. We're getting 2.5%. So I think that's already our compromise that I think we've already given. And just kind of keep squeezing us. I don't see that. And you know, I hate to say that, but that's kind of almost our position because of everything we've been doing. You know, we haven't missed a beat. We're there every day. We're doing the bulkies. We're doing the commercial. We're doing the residential. You know, to get rid of our curbside recycling right now costs us over $100 a ton that we have to pay. Go back 6 years ago, we were getting paid $35 a ton. So, I mean, these are costs that are out of our control. And then the next thing that's coming down the pipe, we got organics that we're doing commercial, and we're going to probably be starting that residential the next year or so. So, I asked for the council support on this rate increase. You know, it's 2.5%, 44 cents a month. I think we need it, and I think we deserve it from the job that we've been doing. And you look at where your rates are within the existing cities, they're still on the bottom. And most of these cities have not gone in front of council yet. Downey, we go next week, and it's going to be about a 5% rate increase. And then you have Cerritos and all the other ones in line there. They're all going to be getting rate increases. So they're going to be way up there, and then Paramount will still be on the bottom.
All right, Mr. Kalpikoff, thank you. I think we clearly understand your position. Okay, but we don't ever want to talk about getting paid what we deserve, or we'd all be millionaires, okay?
Madam Mayor, I think the applicant has given his opinion on
I think so
the
too.
proposal. I think you need to vote on
We're
the
going to call
agenda
for the question. Do I have a motion?
This is Councilmember Aguayo. I move the item.
Do I have a second?
Councilmember Cuellar Stallings, second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Aguayo, second by Cuellar Stallings. Can we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Aguayo,
Yes.
Councilmember Guillen,
Yes.
Councilmember Cuellar Stallings,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Olmos,
Yes.
Mayor Lemons.
Yes. All right. The next item is an award of contract, and we have a revised agenda item in front of you. Everybody got that?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. So
Do
the
you want to
last
do
item,
a staff report about it? Okay.
we sure do. Thank you, Madam Mayor. This last item under new business is an award of contract for some interior improvements that we're planning to do for Progress Plaza. However, we did have a last minute change, and Adriana Figueroa, our Public Works Director, will tell us about that change.
Thank you, John. Madam Mayor and members of the City Council, the original report in your agenda packet recommended award of contract for this project to Juniors Construction, Inc. However, upon further review, we encountered some technical deficiencies with the bid packet. Following the Public Contracts Code, we have the authority to reject all bids and re-advertise the project. Staff will make the necessary modifications to the plans and specs in order to clarify these technical issues that arose during the bid review process. We will bring a recommendation for award at a future city council meeting once new bids are received and examined. With that, it is recommended that the city council reject all bids and direct staff to re-advertise bids for the interior improvements at Park Plaza. And that concludes my report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may
Thank
have.
you, Adriana. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Vice Mayor Olmos, is that correct? And seconded by Cuellar Stallings, that we reject all bids and direct staff to re-advertise and request for bids for the interior improvements of Progress Park Plaza. Can we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Aguayo,
Yes.
Councilmember Guillen,
Yes.
Councilmember Quer Stallings,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Olmos,
Yes.
Mayor Lemons.
Yes. Okay, next we're going to move into comments and committee reports from council members. And because you've been so quiet tonight, I'm going to let you talk first, Isabel.
Thank you. So let's see. What do I have? Actually, I do have a request, and I don't know if it's possible to put the agendas on the city's social media page, because I know, like, I literally have, I copy them, crop them, and share them. But I actually had somebody ask me, well, can't you guys just put them on the social media? I mean, they are on the city page, but I don't know if it's something that.
So like, are you kind of thinking maybe a link, like the social media blast that we do at that point? We'll have a link that's embedded that you can press it and it'll go to the website.
Get you
to
straight
get
to
it.
the
Gotcha.
agenda.
Gotcha. Yeah, we can look into that. That's a
Okay,
very
so
good idea.
there was that, and just continue reaching out to us. I think that we are listening. We're doing everything we can to, get the residents' points of view and get the answers, back to the residents. So keep reaching out to us. Doesn't mean you're always going to hear what you want to hear. I mean, and that's just the truth. But if we don't know, we'll research it and we'll get the facts. Other than that, stay safe, everyone. Numbers are I don't want to say they're looking good, but compared to the way we were just a few weeks ago, I feel like if we're all careful, we may see not the end, but we will get closer to where we want to be soon. So again, stay safe and God bless everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Go right ahead.
I have a few things. First, I took my husband last Tuesday to get the veteran man to get vaccinated, and my God, thank you, Dave Johnson and your crew. I mean, it was so well organized. I spoke to all the organization, FEMA, Homeland Security, CAL FIRES, the California Highway Patrol. They were so impressed by our city, and even the highway patrolman, can we come back, Mrs. Stallings? And I said, well, thank you. He goes, what a beautiful city you have. And then right after that, I was starting to get texts from residents thanking me that we had brought this. We had brought the COVID testing bus, that we have gave them food drives. They were very appreciative. And I felt so honored. Growing up in Paramount, and I love the city of Paramount, and for them to tell me that, it actually brought tears to my eyes. So, actually, I'm going to mention one of the young ladies. She's a former Paramount resident, and her grandpa still lives here, and he's 97 years old. And she said she was very proud to come back to Paramount. And I have some concerns. There's been a couple of accidents occurring on Downey and Flowers Street, and this last one ended up hurting someone at Moakler, at my home school. And some residents have been asking me if they could have more patrol in that area. There was, doing donuts in one car on Downey Avenue, ended up going on the corner of Downey and Harrison, ended up going into the house. My son-in-law reported to me that it also, there was an accident affected at the main warehouse by the Downey Avenue and Flower that belongs to the Paramount Unified School District, and then the one that occurred by Mogler School. So if we could please have deputies patrolling that area. I know they're extremely busy. I know a lot of things have been occurring. I met my neighbors right on the corner of Madison and Georgia. I forgot their names. But anyway, I was walking with Lisa the other day, and they told me that there's been several cars trying to conduct street racing on Madison and Georgia. And he said one car ended up crashing into a tree. And he said he called the deputies, but it was too late by the time they came. So he was very concerned, and I told him I would mention it tonight. And lastly, I express my deepest condolences to the LA Sheriff's Department, the substation of Paramount, Pico Rivera Station, Lakewood Station, for our Deputy Thomas Alibas. I met this young man a couple times, and what a gracious man. And I felt so honored. When I heard he deceased, it really touched my heart. And I know it touched several of us. But my deepest condolences to all of you in these departments, especially to his wife and his sons. He was a great man. And I know he'll be watching from heaven, taking care of you. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Councilmember. Ms. Gann?
Thank you. So some of you touched on the things that I had on my list today, but I did have on my list to talk about real brief about the monitors, and with AQMD stating, they want their employees to be vaccinated. I'd like to see the city push a little harder on that, because we have grocery workers who go to work every day and are around a lot of people that aren't vaccinated. And unfortunately, I understand their concern that they would like their employees to be vaccinated, but this is very important to the residents of Paramount to have those monitors up, especially the ones that we paid for. So if we can push to get those back up, it would be appreciated. In a perfect world, we could all be vaccinated, holding hands and singing Kumbaya, but that's not where we are. Second of all, what did I want? Okay, I'll go back to that. COVID vaccination, got a lot of calls with thank yous, and I was there, and I can attest to the fact that it was very organized and it ran very smooth. So thanks to all who were involved in that. Again, my condolences. I'm going to keep them specifically to public safety for the loss of Deputy Albanese, who died in the line of duty last week while serving our communities. But I do recognize how difficult it is to digest the loss of a friend and a coworker who become family. So my condolences to public safety for that. And I'd like to make sure that we have resources available for anybody in public safety who feels like they would need to talk to somebody about that, if we could make any type of resources available, because it hits everybody differently at different times. So just maybe a number of a contact person, a psychologist that they could call or something to that end. We just finished up with the month of February, and I know it was Black History Month, and we did our tribute to Black History Month, but it's also Heart Awareness Month, and I just want to remind all the women out there, because now it's Women's Month, but guys too, to make sure you get your physicals. I know with COVID, we've kind of let a whole year go by. We kind of didn't get all the appointments we need. So just a reminder for Women's Month to get out there and get those appointments that you need. And then I'm going to let this lie, because I think I pounded it enough. But just like we were able to get Bill on the phone, it's always nice to see somebody else's perspective when we're asking questions, and he was able to answer and say why he could or why he could not. And I'd rather see that than government get so involved in contracts between businesses and apps. And I'll let it lie. We've had a lot of homeless encampments I've been getting calls on, a lot of homelessness, and I just hope that we can get an update to the council on some of the resources or some of the things that are being done, because it just seems like we're having more and more encampments popping up here and there. I talked about the air monitoring. We keep getting calls about handball courts, and I'm just curious at any time so that we don't all keep getting the same call all the time. I mean, maybe we should poll the council. This is just a suggestion, and see what we think about handball courts, and see if we want to get it on the agenda, make it a priority. I mean, at some point, I think we need to poll the council as well as the residents. And then I'd like an update on the environmental commission that we kind of talked about, maybe at the next council meeting. And then also at the next council meeting, I'd like an explanation of where we stand with districting, because I've been getting several phone calls about whether or not we are in compliance and what is our risk factor if we are not in compliance, about racial polarization after the last census, which apparently we were supposed to be mandated to do. So I'd like to know if we are supposed to be districted, and does that affect our council members? There's 4 of us who all live within a couple blocks of each other. Is that going to affect the districting or how elections are run? So I'd like an update on that. And that's it.
Okay. Vice Mayor?
Yes, I will make this very brief, Madam Mayor.
Okey-doke.
In due time. Couple things. I think there's been, within all cities, there's a lot going on with public safety right now. We talked about the Cadillac converters being stolen. I know batteries, cars are being stolen, but again, I know it's happening all over. I did see today that the Lakewood Sheriff Station did post that they will be having the Cadillac converter theft prevention event at the Lakewood Sheriff Station. So Adriana said she was going to get that posted as soon as possible. So if residents were interested in that, they could definitely go get that. I think they have to make an appointment. Appointments start on Friday morning, I think. Dave, I did have a question for you. So I think for Parks and Recreation, I know right now regarding the COVID restrictions, teams they can do conditioning, but there's no league and there's no signups right now, correct? For them to get their spring teams together?
To your point, yes, they can practice, they can do conditioning.
Right.
There are some allowances now to begin to allow games to occur.
Okay.
That would apply to softball, baseball, and we're still trying to ascertain if that applies to to soccer, which has more contact.
Okay.
And to football as well.
Okay. 'Cause the only reason why I bring it up is that I've noticed that cities are actually promoting their registration. And I've kind of noticed that some Paramount residents are like, oh, I'm going to go play in this city, but they probably don't remember that we do have leagues here.
Right.
So if there's anything that we could do to promote
we're reaching
that.
out to the leagues.
Okay.
We want to meet with them and walk them through what the guidelines require.
Perfect.
Because again, they are able to, baseball and softball, and I'm pretty sure soccer can definitely start up. And that's what we'll talk to leagues about, because the county guidelines do say that as long as LA County stays under 14 cases per 100,000 residents. If it goes over 14, then it shuts down again. So we do need to talk to them. They are able to start up with still some restrictions.
Okay, perfect. Thanks I appreciate that. And I think the final, I just want to remind my colleagues to please try and join the California Contract Cities, their LA County Local Advocacy Days, which is going to be happening March 4th, 11th, 18th, and 25th. They have speakers of Sheriff Villanueva, our LA County supervisors will be there, and District Attorney Gascon will be attending as well. So if you guys have time, Adriana did send you guys invites. Okay. That's all I have, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. I just want to report that the Big Meow is back at SIACA. For those of you not familiar with this program, it's a donor-supported program for free spay and neutering of owned outdoor and indoor cats. So it's a great way to reduce the cat population. It's a free program. It had been suspended because of funding, because of COVID, of course, but they were able to get some grants and put it back online. So if you have a cat that hasn't been spayed or neutered, SIACA offers that program, the Big Meow. There's information on the SIACA website free of charge. Also, I wanted to thank Ms. Garcia for inviting me to do a virtual reading to her class today. It was definitely a new experience and a lot of fun, and I opened it up to questions from the kids, and they were totally stuck on COVID and are we going back to school, and when we do we have to wear masks? That was just like every question formed in a different way over and over and over, and I had to explain to them, I'm not the school board, I don't understand those mandates, but that's kind of where they were. I have had my vaccinations too. I have to say I was one of the unlucky ones. My first one went swell and everything was great, just a sore arm for a couple days. The second one, I got pretty sick, and it lasted about 30 hours. So just know if you do happen to get sick with it, it does pass a lot faster than any type of flu or anything like that, but you do have the potential. And I would say it was kind of like having a really bad flu for a day. So be prepared for that. I thank you all for your comments. A lot of great information brought to us. And with that, I'm going to go to staff for comments and reports.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Not really much to report tonight, as I did earlier about the air quality, but once again, I just want to thank the council for your leadership and your trust in what we do day in and day out, particularly with last week's vaccine clinic. That was very successful, but again, we rely on you to allow us the flexibility to work in that type of environment. So thank you. We appreciate that.
Okay. With that, we are going to adjourn in the honor of Deputy Albanese, who you've heard several comments tonight was a great loss to our city, and our sincere condolences to his family, and we will adjourn in his name. And I'm going to call to order the successor agency for the Paramount Redevelopment Agency, March 2nd, 2021 meeting. Could I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Aguayo.
Here.
Councilmember Guillen.
Here.
Councilmember Quer Stallings.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Olmos. Mayor Lemons.
Here. Are there any public comments?
No, ma'am.
We have a consent calendar motion.
So moved. Councilmember
That was
Quer-Stallings.
stereo. Who was that? Okay, Quer Stallings and Vice Mayor. Okay, so moved by Councilmember Quer Stallings, seconded by Vice Mayor Olmos, that we approve the consent calendar. Can we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Aguayo.
Yes.
Councilmember Guillen.
Yes.
Councilmember Quer Stallings.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Olmos. Mayor Lemons.
Yes. With that, we'll stand adjourned until April 6, 2021 at 6 p.m. Thank you, everyone.